All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the STEM Files. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the business of immunotherapy, just the overall science and structure of how biotechnology companies produce their life science products. Stay tuned. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to the STEM Files. This is the July 18th live edition of the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the Black community. So I'm usually joined by Jabril or Jabrilian Engineer. Couldn't make it today, but we have a special guest filling, another engineer. Dante, what's up, man?
Hey, good evening. How's everyone doing?
Awesome. So just to kind of give you a say it again.
No, go ahead. It lagged a little bit.
Got you. So as mentioned before, my name is Tariq Muhammad. I'm a biomedical research scientist with a primary background in cardiovascular biology, particularly as it pertains to atherosclerosis, which is a plaque buildup formation in the arteries. Cardiovascular biology, or pathobiology, really is the science of how diseases develop in the heart and blood vessels. So if you see my name, Tariq Cardiac, on any of my social media handles, just know that's why the cardiac is there. It's not because that's actually my middle name. That is the reason for that being there. All right, Dante, tell us who you are, man.
Yes, sir. Sure. My name is Brother Dante Muhammad. I have a degree in mechanical engineering from North Carolina A&T State University. I have a recent focus in technology, or rather, different companies call it new product introduction or new technology introduction. And pretty much for those who may not understand what exactly mechanical engineering is, but it deals with the design, the processing, and pretty much the manufacturing of different, pretty much almost anything you can think of that has to do with mechanical properties, such as cars, airplanes, and it's just a wide range of technologies. So that's my specific background. And like I said, I specialize in the actual technologies. So when we think about Microsoft, think about Apple, and you think about the development of computers, there are different mechanical engineers that are employed that deal with how to move heat when different technologies are overheated, or just kind of development of the hardware that goes inside of those particular laptops, or the technology that they produce.
Gotcha. All right, can you so before I do that, I just want to say I'm thoroughly grateful for the guests that we have on tonight's platform. Brother Eric A. Muhammad, or is it Ahad or Ahmad?
Ahad.
We have Brother Eric Ahad. We have Brother Eric Ahad Muhammad, who I consider an uncle in not only science, but an uncle in the faith of Islam. And I love the work that he's doing with another mentor of mine, Brother Victor. But before we go into that, Brother Dante, can you kind of give us a brief description of who our brother is, what he does, and how he's relevant to the conversation?
Yes, sir. In 2018, Brother Eric partnered with biomedical scientist and engineer Victor Muhammad at Life Sciences of Washington Incorporated, or LSOW Inc., and created what is known today as the #1 autoimmune disease and immunotherapy answers company as its CEO of distribution and product marketing and sales, naturesv.com. In that same year, he also became the executive director of Life Science Management, a subsidiary of LSOW, a biotechnology management company. In 2020, he launched Nature's V Autoimmune Disease Foundation, nonprofit, the first minority-owned autoimmune disease foundation focused on women of color. And the motto is healing the body through immunotherapy is a new health paradigm.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again, Eric, for joining us tonight. So I want to go into the supplement, of course. And before I do that, I just want to clear a few words. The first word I want to clear is the word supplement. In the context in which we're talking about a supplement in medicine is something that completes or enhances something else when added to it. So again, Brother Eric, welcome.
Thank you.
Please tell us more about the supplement and the Nature's V and just how everything got started. What exactly is the supplement and how individuals can get involved?
Well, the supplement came about as a gift from God. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sent Alim Muhammad, Dr. Barbara Justice, and Dr. Wilbur Jordan to Kenya to meet with Dr. David Koich. They found a Chemron or an interferon product there that they were having success with treating sex workers in Nairobi, Kenya. They brought that back and began to use that in their treatment of HIV patients. At a certain point in time, the ability of them to get that interferon product became difficult, and Dr. Alim Muhammad at that time asked Biomedical Research Sciences Victor Muhammad, who was working at NIH, I believe at the time, or Johns Hopkins, I don't remember at this point, to see if he could help him do anything because his patients were dying because he could no longer get the product. At that point in time, Victor Muhammad became the creator of what we now know is IB100 or liquid low-dose interferon alpha, the supplement. We say the supplement because interferon alpha is a naturally produced amino acid that comes from the body, and it's a supplement that it is an amino acid that is produced naturally. So it's not pharmaceutical product. Our product is not a recumbent product. It is a natural product. And the success that he has had over the last 27 years of providing this product to the community at large and those with HIV, HSV, or HAV 1 through 6, and other things is world renowned because Mr. Victor Muhammad is the only person to cure HIV that we know in the history of the world through a scientific process. So at a certain point in time, I came in contact with Mr. Victor Muhammad and saw that this is a journey that I could put my life on because it helps so many people. Our collaboration has created what we now know as Nature's V, Life Science and Washington Management Team, and also Nature's V Autoimmune Disease Foundation for Women of Color. We started the Autoimmune Disease Foundation for Women of Color because when you look at autoimmune diseases in America, 75% of those with autoimmune diseases are women of color. But if you look at the foundations that are taking on the task of collecting the monies, doing the scientific research, and providing treatments, you don't see any people of color in that realm. And you know that all of the therapies that are necessary there and monies to be collected should be used toward the larger population of the 75%. You know, we have a science in the Nation of Islam talking about women and the 75% of the work. And so today we found that the supplement IB100 is the most effective treatment for most autoimmune diseases. You're a scientist, Brother Tariq, and you understand the retrovirus from a scientific perspective and how broad that scope is as it relates to what falls into a retrovirus. But we have to all come to understand that if we don't become in control of the environment of our own health, if we don't come in control of where the monies are spent, not giving them to scientists like yourself, giving them to engineers like Brother Dante to create the new mechanical devices so we can go into a higher level of science for our own benefit to follow the natural science that brother or Mr. Victor Muhammad created, then we will never be a free and independent people. So IB 100 has and is it's like the penicillin back in the early 100s. It is a creation from God that allows us to move our people into a healthier environment. And we need a business structure behind that. We need to be, like those whom are now leading the world, the scientists of the Western world. The Western medicine, in the quoting brother Mr. Victor Muhammad, is mortal. Western medicine has no use any longer. If you haven't broke your leg, then Western medicine is basically of no use. To go to a doctor, to sit down and tell him what's wrong with you, then he goes to the PDR, he looks in the book, and he prescribes possibly the wrong, normally the wrong, all the time the wrong medication, and you suffer the side effects which are greater than the disease that you had. That means that we're not in control of our own science. We're not following the edict in which the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us of creating our own hospitals and dealing with our own science. When you look at the infrastructure of the Nation of Islam that was given to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the top of it is science when it comes to medical and scientists when it comes to our health. Well, we have on our team at Nature's V, of course, our great brother who is the host of this show, Brother Tariq Cardiac Muhammad. We have Dr. Martinia Muhammad. We have, who is a biomedical scientist. We have Dr. Patrice Muhammad. Associatively, we have an association with Dr. Akili Muhammad. And of course, we have the foremost biomedical scientists in our time, the Louis Pasteur of virology and the Louis Pasteur of immunotherapy, and Mr. Victor Muhammad. And if we don't put the necessary resources behind them, we cannot as a people, and the business behind it, we cannot as a people say that we want God to help us when we won't support the answer to the prayers that we have. So that's why today we have Nature's V. And that's why I'm here to let us know that we must begin to provide our own future for our own selves. Today, we are suffering from what is called COVID-19. Well, there are many things said about COVID-19, but who are the analysts that we have to tell us what we need to do for COVID-19? Today, I looked at a presentation that was posted on Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad's page, and there was a gentleman speaking of how it affects Black people more, and Black people are dying more, and that's fine. And I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with the metrics not being checked by us. I do have a problem with the source of the metrics is only them, because we already know they always have an agenda. When you look at the supplement and you look at the history of the supplement from NIH, the interesting thing is, unbeknownst to us, they say that the supplement is more effective with people of color than it is Europeans. Well, that's a science that they studied, obviously, Brother Tariq, correct? You have to do some mathematical metrics on that to come up with that understanding. Well, what is it about the virus right now that says it's more virulent with people of color? How do you know that? How did you get to that so fast? Where are the studies of? Yes, it could be killing us more. It probably is killing us more, because we already suffer from maladies when we come to the equation. And they say, of course, if you have these illnesses prior to, you're more susceptible to whatever the virus is doing inside of your body. Well, if we're more susceptible to the problem and we're more susceptible to the answer, maybe we need to be applying our own equation to the problem so we can die less in the process. But if we don't become control of the business, if we don't come in charge of the science, if we're not talking to you as a scientist and talking to Brother Dante as a engineer to develop what we need and move ourselves out of them constantly giving us the information, then we are no more independent than we were when we came here 465 years ago. So that's why Nature's V is here. IB100, it speaks for itself. It has 27 years of history. If nothing else, it's the only thing that's ever cured HIV, and it's still doing it today. So these are the things that we need people to know. We need the scientists in our community to come to the call of a scientist who has done these things, to be put into the environment where we can create the best for all of humanity. Because our job as the fathers of humanity is not just to the Black community or the red community or the brown community, it's to all of humanity. And all of humanity has a fiduciary responsibility to help us. But we have to put the institutions in place. We have to have an autoimmune disease foundation, a nonprofit. You have to have Original Man Science. We have to have Life Sciences of Washington. We have to have your company, Brother Dante, because we don't have any of these things where we set up an infrastructure that benefits us. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and I'll close on this point, asked us to go amongst ourselves and do these things. Well, those who are given the responsibility to come to the scientific community need to come to those who were doing this before Corona. We didn't start when Corona came about. We've been doing this for years.
Right.
Some people jumped into it today. You have others who are bringing products on that have never been tested. The people are actually taking into the system today. However, that is because we are trusting people. But science is based on metrics that proves itself 100% of the time. Not half of the time, not 10% of the time, not 20% of the time. Science proves itself metrically 100% of the time. And that's what we have to give to our people. So thank you for your question.
Thank you for answering. I have a whole bunch of questions in my head, but I'm gonna let my brother Dante ask the next one, and just to kind of see where his head is at as an engineer.
Yes, sir.
I love listening to engineers' opinions and feedback on life science matters. So definitely go for it, bro.
Hey, yes, sir. Thank you. It's funny. I have a couple of questions too, but I think I'm going to start with the most kind of basic one. So I talked to like a lot of my friends that were in school with me, and many of us, kind of growing up learning in the physical sciences and engineering, we don't have any background in health sciences other than probably the one biology class or one chemistry class. So we know pretty much absolutely nothing about it. So this first question is pretty much geared towards people that who don't know anything about life sciences or medicine or anything of that sort. When we look at what's kind of going on in terms of recommendations from the medical community, we pretty much looking at the CDC. The CDC is kind of like the main organizational structure that a lot of people are looking to for recommendations. How do we handle COVID? These are supposed to be the experts. So for people who know nothing about life sciences or medicine, we're looking to them. In your expert opinion, why should we be looking to them, and pretty much why or why not? Because we're talking about science, and most people, when they think about science, science is actual facts. Science is, the numbers don't lie, the science don't lie. But what's going on to where we're kind of seeing this disparity between kind of what the government is saying and what the scientific community is saying, because science is supposed to be always right. So can you kind of expound upon, what's going on? Should we be looking to this government or this CDC entity for, recommendations for, and it doesn't have to be just about COVID. It could just be about vaccines. It could be about anything health related. Should we be looking to them? Why or why not?
History always is best serves in our research to understand how we should move forward. We as a people know that our history with the scientific community of America has been completely detrimental and completely experimental upon us for our detriment. So I'm not sure that it would be the best for us to continue to look in an environment that we are unable to get an answer to what we're dealing with. We begin in this condition. To remain in this condition is a practice of futility and insanity because it hasn't changed. We must look to our best minds to deal with the circumstances of our health to determine what is best for us. If we continue to look to organizations or institutions that we looked at before, then we will probably come up with the same answers as we have before. And that will leave us in the same condition as we are now. So I don't like to speak to possibilities because the possibility has a lesser chance of coming into fruition than a probability. The probability of us getting an answer to benefit us from them is null, zero. It will not happen. A probability of us getting at least a 1% answer for us is there because we have never done it. But through the relationships that we have now acquired, through the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad over the last 90 years, he's prepared people like yourself, Brother Dante, that are ready to move us into the 21st century like we should. He's prepared biomedical scientists like Brother Tariq. He's given us the foremost biomedical research scientist in Victor Muhammad. He's given us one of the top biomedical scientists as it relates to viral diseases in Dr. Martinia Muhammad. He's given us Dr. Patrice Muhammad, who has 25 years not only of Western medicine, but natural medicine. She has at least 25 years of dealing with patients in an environment in the use of IFNA. So we have the team that we need to make a determination for ourselves. Not a team that's new to the environment, but this team has been raised in the environment and moved outside of the environment, and now that are able to make a decision for us that is best for us. And any mathematical equation or formula is only put together because you're looking for a desired result. The result that we are having is 82% effective. If they can produce the same result as us, then we'll hear them. But until they can do that, we don't need to discuss anything with them, nor look to them, because God has come to give us what we need for ourselves. So that will be a determination for the person that you're dealing with. That's a determination for every individual because it's their life. But if I'm going to put my life on something, I'm going to put it, is 82% an A grade?
Depending on the grading scale.
Is it close to an A grade?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going with that. I'm going with proven science.
Yes, sir.
Proven science. And we have the science, we have the case studies, we have the scientists. And we have scientists checking our science. Our scientists checking our science. So we are in agreement that we are the best knowers in this case. And since we are considered the gods of our own destiny, I think our hands are the best hands to have it in to answer your question.
Yes, sir. 100% agree.
Beautiful response, brother. Beautiful response. I like these kind of shows because you yourself don't have a scientific background professionally per se, but you have taken up the cross to help scientists and bring us to the forefront and bring us to problems that we as Black people suffer from. So tell us about that journey. Tell us about going from working in media, correct?
Yes, sir.
Working in media now to working in science and biotechnology. Tell us about that transition and how you came to work with Brother Victor and just that overall relationship.
I spent 6 years working with Dan Rather in the highest form of propaganda that the world has to offer nightly. And I since spent 7 years working with Peter Jennings and a few years working in with Reuters in Washington, D.C. and other places throughout the world. Propaganda is the biggest tool for any people because there's truth being told, there's truth with falsehood being told, and there's just outright lies being told that people are moving out on.
Right.
Science is a mathematical fact if it is science. If it does not meet itself 100% every time, it cannot be science. If a man comes to you and says, take this vaccine, it possibly may work, that is not science. Science has the same result all the time on the same equation if it's science. So I came to meet Brother Victor through a very unique way. I was responding to a post on Facebook and about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in which I believe I'm a student of, and I'm very astute at it. And there was an incorrect comment made with regard to it, and I don't like people to misquote the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I have a warrior's nature, so I don't take any prisoners. If you stand up and tell somebody a mistruth that can cost them their life, I will correct you in the same manner that you told your mistruth. So I corrected the brother, and then we talked offline, and he told me that he was helping a brother who ultimately ended up being Brother Victor. So I came to the equation on this team to help Brother Victor, a man who has spent 27 years marching alone with the greatest single creation for health that we have known. You know, IFNA is not new to the world, as you know, Brother Tariq. And the efficacy of it is not new to the world. And the people you see today in front of you are not new to that understanding. In 1997, these are some things I think it's time to say, and I'm going to say them now because people's lives are on the line. There was a clinical trial that was supposed to take place with the doctors that were using Victor Muhammad's product, the low-dose liquid interferon alpha. And because of the success, these 14 doctors around the country were using this product and having great success with their HIV patients who were on the verge of dying prior to taking the product. That allowed those doctors to come together and petition NIH, or the National Institute of Infectious Disease, what is it? NIAID, Institute of Infectious Disease and Allergies, which Dr. Fauci is over. Dr. Fauci allowed them to go into clinical trials with his product, which was a interferon product, but they could only go into trials with it if they did not use Brother Victor's product. So those 14 doctors had to put down the product that was working just to go into a clinical trial. Then later it came up that they could not get enough people to partake in the trial, so the trial was canceled. So that's a bit convoluted, but that is what took place because we are not in control of what we are doing. 30 million people have died unnecessarily because other people are in charge of what's going on. And this might be a little off your question, but this needs to be said. We have to become in control of our own destiny. Today, because of vaccinations, we have more children who are of children of color that are autistic because of vaccination. Now, is that vaccination geared toward children of color? Yes or no? We know today, yes, it is. Is it necessary? No, it is not. Do we have a scientist to test what's in it? No, we do not. So we have to come at a certain point and say, we're going to stop. But if we stop, then what are we going to replace it with? We have to replace it with the science that you understand, Brother Tariq. We have to replace it with the engineering mastery that you have, Brother Dante, and the delivery systems that you come up with. And we have to be able to take that information and turn that and go to our people and say, we need your financial help so we can build a reality for ourselves. But until we begin to talk like that, and we have all of these other conversations that are smoke blowing at best because they don't produce anything, then what's the purpose of it? And why are people talking who are not the experts in it? Why are people talking who use it as a platform for their own self-aggrandizement, but the benefit does not go to the people who can actually help? All of that has to stop. And that's why we're here today, because that day is over. Leading people astray, using people for your own personal benefit, talking about something that you have no knowledge of, like the minister said on July 4th, shut up. Stay in your lane. This is not your lane. It's Brother Tariq's lane. It's Brother Dante's lane. It's Sister Martania's lane. It's Brother Victor's lane. And business-wise, it's my lane. Consult with us if you intend to get something out of it that we're already doing. We're not trying to do anything. Is this not being done already scientifically, Brother Tariq? Are we now meeting and getting people's health better as it relates to it? Your mic is muted, Brother Tariq. They couldn't hear you.
Yes, sir, it is.
Well, help us, help you. Obviously, Allah wants us to do this, and in this time, and we're not going to stop. We're all fixed. God gave us this time to do what we need to do. He didn't put us here with COVID because he didn't have an answer. But what we use the answer is the question. Excuse me for getting passionate, but when you watch people die for no reason that you love,
no, you're fine, below.
You know, it hurts. It hurts. There's no necessity for that. There's no reason for that other than we are not in control of our own environment.
No, don't worry about your passion, man, because if that's one of the indicators to let people know that you give a damn or that you care. So,
yes,
so trust and believe. If that passion isn't exuded as you're speaking, you know, a lot of times people can misread you. But at this time, we're actually at the halfway point of the show, so I want to take the time to promote a Black business. As you can see, I'm wearing an FOI training shirt by Conscious Branded. They are a wonderful Black-owned apparel company that focuses on just pretty much just making the environment of the Nation of Islam, putting everything about the Nation of Islam on clothes. So this is a beautiful company. I have several different products from them. Good quality shirts, great service, timely delivery. Because you know a lot of times people don't support Black business because they don't get certain things on time and it takes too long. You know all the excuses not to support a Black-owned business. But this company is good at eliminating those excuses for you to take full advantage of their products. They have a beautiful variety of things that you can definitely go support Branded Clothing Company on Facebook and on Instagram, Conscious Branded, and just go ahead and get you some. They love this is the person that makes these clothes loves the Nation of Islam. He's a member of the Nation of Islam, and I encourage all members of the Nation of Islam to purchase apparel. Even if you're not a member of the Nation of Islam, take full advantage of these wonderful products.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's the first half of the show. Dante, do you have any other questions for our brother?
It's marinating. You can go ahead and ask your second question.
Got you. Okay, so another question I have is, the topic is the business of immunotherapy. I didn't get a chance to screenshot the definition of immunotherapy. I know the definition of it as a scientist, but for those who are watching, can you go into just a basic definition of immunotherapy and the business? What exactly is the business of immunotherapy, and how does all of that fall in line into what? And you touched on this already, but how does all of that fall in line into the current pandemic?
On the natures-v.com website, you can go read our mission statement, our statement and our mission. These are taxonomies given to us by biomedical research scientist Victor Muhammad. This is his taxonomy of immunotherapy, not the world's. He says immunotherapy, like any
Brother
other.
Eric, 1 second. 1 second. Brother Dante, can you pull up the website real quick?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna pull it up as you're reading it, so people can follow along with you, and
Yes,
just kind of see what you're seeing.
Do you see it?
All right, and what are you reading from again, Brother Eric?
if you scroll down, you'll see the
On the website?
yes, sir. You'll see the picture of Gattaca, the DNA strand. GAAT.
Am I on the right?
Go up. Yes, sir. You're right there. Scroll
Okay.
up. Scroll up. I mean down. I'm sorry. To the next picture, right there. That's it, right there. So it says immunotherapy, the health paradigm shift. This is a new health paradigm that's created by, Victor Muhammad. It says immunotherapy, like any other accumulation of information, is a science. Science is defined as the accumulation of facts or information on a particular subject. Therefore, it is a misnomer to assume that all science is factual. It's actual fact, excuse me. Science is only actual fact after the metes and bounds of mathematics has been applied to the accumulation of data or information, and said data is found to be 100% accurate each and every time math is applied to said information or data. That is our statement. The mission of immunotherapy. Immunotherapy in our hands refers to the use of the body's own immune system to be the guiding principle for the use of exogenous immune agents, proteins, and modulators intended to mimic the body's own immune response when the body has been compromised. That is immunotherapy. The body is well equipped to heal itself if you give it what it needs. You and I both understand, Brother Tariq, that the body performed quite well up until the last 40 or 50 years when cancer came about, all of the other viral illnesses came about after experimentation in the lab with certain environments for so-called development of science. Then you have the creation of all these viral diseases, and specifically those dealing with people of color, melanated people. So when we look at our own body, let's use the coronavirus for interest, because it's very interesting. The coronavirus is very interesting. How does a virus know to attack the cytokine mechanism of the defense of the body so it will not produce its own natural interferon alpha to tell the body how to fight off the attack? How does a virus come up that scientific? And that specifically is why it overtakes the body, and the body is unable to ward it off, and then the viral aspects of it causes organ failure, respiratory failure, and other types of failures in the body if the mechanics of the virus are specific to the body's own natural response to any viral attack. And then the answer be as simple as an exogenous amino acid, such as the one IFNA, to answer the problem. But they are waiting to make a vaccine when they've known this since 1956. I think that's kind of specious at best. You got to know who you're dealing with. You know, we're taught that Yaqub had some favorite laborers, right?
Right.
If we would have a class, what was the first one? Doctors. Nurses, ministers, then cremators. Well, we need to check those first too. And if you're coming from Western medicine perspective, I'm sorry, for anybody that spent all their money on that. The body will heal itself with the right supplements that are given to us. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it like this. I mean, we know the wisdom of God is quite simplistic. He said that every disease is a nutrient deficiency. Okay, let's go find out what nutrients we need, find out where they exist, and get them to fix the diseases. But do we need a recumbent pharmaceutical version of something that you find in nature because you can't patent a natural form of it to make money? And then do we need the AMA, the CDC, the FDA, and all of these people telling us what to put in our bodies that they know is harming us, but we don't have a say-so over it anymore? So it's time for us to come together, stand up like adults. I'm a little your senior. My spirit is definitely your junior.
Hold on, a little? You said a little our senior?
A little, brother. A little your senior. But my spirit is definitely your junior.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. If I was talking to you on the phone, I'll have a hard time determining how old you are. So I definitely appreciate your spirit. And that's the kind of spirit we need for this kind of mission.
Exactly.
Well, we must understand the examples that we have in front of us, and I'm going to step off of the business and scientific just to go to the spiritual side of being in the ministry for the last 36 years of my life. The path that Jesus took, the first three and us being the four, are all the same. We will have to confront Satan to be free. And science is where Satan lives, because that is his most effective way of culling the planet. It's most effective.
Yeah, we were just talking about that on the show, right?
Yes, sir. You're not a warrior if you're not dealing with science, because he's dealing with science.
Facts.
Science of the mind, science of propaganda, the science of the human body, the science of food. And if you're not dealing with those, then you're not really at war with Satan. And we intend to allow the people to have the best that God has given us through the science that he has given us, through men like yourself, Brother Tariq, the engineering capabilities to build baby planes, Brother Dante, the science of what Mr. Victor Muhammad has offered. But we have to have a platform to work from. So we are already working together. So many people don't know that, but that's just the fact. And we're not working together 5 days ago. We've been working together for years now. Right. So now we're bringing together the plan, the team, the infrastructure to present to a nation, and informing them today that it exists and the answer exists. And we've applied the equation. We've done the case studies. We've done the meets and the bounds and the mathematics, and it's proven itself. I'm sorry, Victor's scientific analogy is kind of high, 100%, but we're 82%. We're working our way to 100, but we don't have all the help that we need. So these are the things that we need. The Autoimmune Disease Foundation for Women of Color is put together because our sisters are suffering the most. And we need to be able to tell them that we have an answer for them if they would just come and get what we have for them. But we have to get the resources to give it to them. So all of the rappers who are great men who, you know what I mean, stop wasting your money on women like that and give us some of your money to heal some of the women that are being affected by what's going on in the world. If you want to do a great work, let's build a world. The reason our brother Nick Cannon has an issue because he's dealing in their environment. Well, the reason that all of us are out of their environment because we'll never become what God intended us to do, to be in that environment, right? They're not going to let you become all you can be in that environment. So my intent as your brother your uncle, your friend, and just the God that God is making me is to create that environment. And I had to create that environment, brother. Tariq can bear witness to it. We are knocking on the door. Matter of fact, the hinges are off. We just haven't pushed it down yet. But in a few more days,
y'all pushed that down. Y'all pushed it down. Don't sell yourself short. Y'all pushed it down.
Well, don't speak beyond your ability to do, and don't be braggadocious, because God is your number one protector. Yeah. But brother,
right.
Onward, Christian soldier, and that's what we intend, brother, for our people. We want to offer them the solution. Those of you who are watching today, by God's grace, go see what we've done at natures-v.com. The answer to a lot of your family's illnesses are there. It's an all-natural supplement environment, no side effects. The science is there from the National Institute of Health. It is the most, it is the best site in the world for what we're talking about. There's nothing exists like it. It's from the best scientists that we have in the world who have been doing this, and it's proven by the people that who you believe ice is colder anyway. So they'll be coming to us in a few days too. So right. We just want to be able to present this to you, and I thank you for your question. I hope I answered it, brother.
Yes, sir. You did. You answered it and then some. So I appreciate that, Brother Eric. Dante, I know you got some juice, man.
Yeah, I was going to mention before you got on, Brother Eric. Me and Tarek were talking about education and how education is kind of like formed, in the Western world, and how particularly they teach STEM. And I found that a lot of our people who are scientists, engineers, doctors, etc., a lot of their barriers come in at is in their education, because in the educational system you have K through 12, but then once you get into the colleges, and then for some professions either further studies, we're just kind of taught to really think a certain way, right? We're just kind of taught, in a specific paradigm. And me and Brother Tariq was just talking about how that paradigm is very limiting in terms of creativity and looking for different kinds of solutions that may not be, commonly accepted. So my question is, what type of advice would you give to medical students or students that are kind of studying medicine, or does kind of students are students of health, and how can they broaden their horizon, or how can they start going outside of the commonly accepted paradigm that we're kind of fed in these higher institution systems?
The prayers and longing of any people who have been under what we've been under for the last 465 years is to be free. And that paradigm can only be changed through the womb of a woman and the desires of that woman and that man to produce a child to change that. So you go into an institution and you get the training necessary to understand the current technology, to be able to apply it in the manner in which they teach you. Then, as you're growing up, you come in contact with the mind of God through the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, our messenger Messiah in our midst. That will open your eyes to a whole new realm of thinking. That thinking in combination with the education and training you have will allow you to begin to see into the problems that we currently have. But we have to, as a body of people, put our resources in the proper place to put the environment in place that will allow you to expound on what God has given you of a thought to give to us. So, Life Sciences of Washington, which is the nonprofit of Mr. Victor Muhammad, has offered to all of those in the science field that are currently in college a summer program to come down to our farm and ranch in Georgia to spend some months under his specific training to go back into the environment to be able to produce that which your mind intends. This is something that we have been working on with Brother Tariq for the last 2 years. And now that we are in a position to begin to move forward with that, we want to offer that to those students of science, of engineering, of agriculture in our nation to come and sit down with the foremost scientists in agricultural science and biomedical science and the business aspect, so we can forge forward and provide for the 7 billion people on the planet the thesis to the antithesis that we live in today, and allow ourselves to govern ourselves with the new minds that you have. So that's what I'd say that we can do now, to bring our minds together and begin to put those minds, those new minds that have been raised by God, you know, the best that we've been given, to the equation of the issues that we have. And there are some beautiful scientists that are mature and some that are less mature, and those that are in college. You know, you need a person to guide you through the process of the quagmire of what to study in school, so you can come out and be useful. But most of us who don't understand that merely go into college, come out with a degree, and the degree is only to change it, to train you to get a job. You know, I am so grateful and thankful to my brother Tariq and to you, brother Dante, for standing up in your generation. You know, I'm a fighter by nature. I've been a grandmaster for most of my life in the art. So I'm just a fighter by nature. I love to get down. You know, that's just a love of mine. I get goosebumps thinking about it. But when I see I do, you can see my face getting flushed. I'm with that program. But
gotta ask,
the most
waiting for somebody.
Oh, brother, take it out on Satan. You know, that's the greatest fight we could have. But when I see you brothers, and I see the God in you brothers, and I see what God is intending to make you for us. All I want to do, brother, is be the cannon fodder, take the bullet, open the door so you can march through and make us free. But we have to download some information. We have to give you the science of graduating from being a soldier to a warrior to become adroit in the area of what you need to do. So that requires a little humility from a young man. You know, young man got plenty of testosterone, just need a little guidance. You know, we're here, we've experienced that. So, but we don't want you to fall victim when we can guide you through the process. Yes. So if you allow us, there is no more successful group in the world. We are the best at what we do. We can put our science up against anybody and come out the winner today. Pick an opponent and see if they've done what we're doing or even come close to getting to where we are. You can't find one. That's not bragging, that's just a fact. So if we were allowed to contact your peers through Brother Tariq, through yourself, Brother Dante, and set up a forum to where we could talk with them. We want to talk with them. If you would set up a forum with them, we would like to talk to them through you, because our time is, I ain't going nowhere, but hey, young men like dealing with young men. And they don't like getting beat up by old men anyway. So, hey, I don't want to embarrass nobody. But our spirit is the spirit of our messenger Messiah, brother. He's a warrior. He's a God warrior. Right. His name is Farrakhan. Yes, and his example is taking on what's in front of us to make us free. Well, he's not going to be here forever, as he says. Yes, but his life is laid down. So let's lay down ours for the next generation. I'm willing to I am laying mine down for you. It's already, I've offered it. I've offered it by the work that we are doing. But it's of no use if ain't nobody picking up the shield and the scimitar, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And continuing on with the battle. So we have a plan, and those interested, they can contact us at natures-v.com. Comment section, say you're interested in the training that will be headed up by brothers like Brother Tariq, Dr. Martinia Muhammad, Brother Dante, and others, and under the guidance of Brother Minister Victor Muhammad. We have what we would like to give you of the best that this world has to offer, but we have to get access to you, and you have to be willing to learn from what God has given you through your brother. The black man, excuse me, that's incorrect. The original man is God. The original man is God. And the best science that comes out of this world is through the science of the original man. Now, I know I got a marketing degree, and you like that, Brother Tariq. So original man science works for us.
That's crazy. I didn't even catch that.
You can have that one. That's for you, Tariq. You can take that one and run with it.
That was really good. That was really good.
But
I have it. I have it.
Yes, sir. I know. Take it and run. Look. Take it. It's yours.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Let's go. But let's go. Let's use the time of being inside and come out as the bees making honey in the carcass of the lion. Let's do that. And we are doing that. But we have to come together now, galvanize our forces. It's easy to get rid of one thing, but if you got a million Farrakhan's, you can forget it. So that's what I would say to your question, Brother Dante. And thank you for your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that answer, sir.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you again, Brother Eric. We're actually coming towards the conclusion of the show. We try to keep it at an hour. We do definitely appreciate your time, everything that you've given us within this short amount of time that you've been on the stream with us. As Brother Eric said, you can find out more about what we're talking about at natures-v.com. You can also visit his Facebook page at EA Muhammad. I don't know why it's EA. You just can't just be simple with it and be Eric, but you know how you'll learn working with Brother Eric that there's a method to the method. just know that when you're working with Brother Eric, you'll know that. But again, brother, thank you so much. Is there any closing remarks you'd like to say to the audience? Matter of fact, before we do that, I want to open the floor for questions. I don't usually do this, and this is something that was suggested to me by my lovely wife. For those who are watching, please feel free to comment with questions or things that you'd like to be addressed within the next 2 minutes. I'm monitoring the comment section now. So just at this time, go ahead and drop your questions, drop your concerns, drop your feedback, and let us know what you think. But in the meantime, go to natures-v.com. Once again, that's natures-v.com. Brother Dante, is there anything you'd like to add before we close out?
No, nothing that hasn't already been said. Brother Eric, thank you again. I had a good history lesson, a good biology lesson, a good health lesson today. We really appreciate all of the work that you and the others that are with you are doing, and we're definitely appreciative. Talking from the younger generation of the work that you all have laid out in front of us, and I'm definitely looking forward to working with everyone in the future and learning much more on how we can promote health and make our people healthy, more scientific, more mathematically inclined. So thank you for being here.
Well, I'll close with this. It's my honor to me among such great men. It's overwhelming. I have to hold back the tears just looking at you all, knowing that my future is great. I appreciate who you are. And I have committed my life to making sure that I drive Satan out of your way so you can have yours. All praise is due to Allah.
Praise is due to Allah. Yes, sir. Thank you, beloved. And don't hold back the tears, but beloved. Like I was saying before, with the passion, man. If people can't see the passion, man, it's hard to fight in you or to trust in your leadership and your judgment, beloved. So,
thank you, brother.
I'm holding back emotion right now, bro. I definitely appreciate you, you and brother Dante. I appreciate Dante definitely. I appreciate you for coming through and filling in for Jabril.
Yes, sir.
I always would just want to have somebody that's not professionally involved in the topic to be present on the show in some capacity. So thank you again, bro. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you both.
Awesome.
I want to say to you both, just real quick, stay in it, brother. You are the door, and we want to come right behind you through it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. Well, for those who want to find out or watch more content of the STEM Files, you can visit us on our social media platforms. Give me 1 second, family. We're having a little tech issue real quick. You can visit us at the STEM Files on Facebook, the STEM Files on YouTube, and at the STEM Files on Instagram. So everything's the same. That's our logo. So if you see that logo, just know it's us. If you see something else, it's not us. So that's our logo. We also have a research and development company quite similar to Nature's V called Original Man Scientific, which was mentioned throughout the show. We're going to do a separate live stream on what OMS is and how you can get involved in that. But again, this has been the STEM Files. I am Tariq Cardiac, your host. Dante Muhammad, our illustrious guest, Brother Eric. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, our next guests are Mariam and Ruqayya Farrakhan, granddaughters of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They will be taking us into their journey with the Latin American School of Medicine in Cuba. Their wonderful journey, their process in becoming physicians. They are newly graduated medical doctors, and I look forward to having them on the show this coming Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but next coming Tuesday, July 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to tune in. Thank you all for watching. Peace.
Thank you.
Yeah.